Good afternoon, Dr. Thang, and everyone present there. I would like first to thank you, Dr. Thang, for giving me opportunity to talk you by this method. Unfortunately, I'm not able to visit in this international conference because of some very urgent work back home in my university. So thank you again. It's a pleasure to present you my work by this technology. So the conference is on ecosystems for social entrepreneurship and social innovation. And I really believe in the theory of ecosystem. And so my work is also on university and social entrepreneurship ecosystem for creating socially responsible knowledge, practice, and graduates. This work is supported by British Council the way British Council has supported work on social entrepreneurship and social innovation in Vietnam. They are initiating the process in India as well. Not only the process is supported by British Council, but government has been taking initiative for a long time now in India, though we are integrating the knowledge created and somehow conceptualizing how should we go ahead. We have a great case study in UK, and so this is easier to follow, but we need to contextualize, and rather I would modify myself. It's not contextualization, it's actually identifying how can we utilize the global knowledge in a particular context. So this would be different from contextualization. Getting to what we are trying to do here, let me present you the foundation idea first, and then I go with the flow of discussion. The background is this. I'm building on the socialism and capitalism, and especially in format of capitalism, the theory of economic efficiency primarily has succeeded to produce greater wealth. This is supposedly to be shared with the stakeholders of capitalism, which means the population of the or citizen of the state. In certain format, these things have gone heavy, and we have been finding many studies, including Thomas Piketty's Stiglitz. I'm using one work of Professor Stiglitz, which is published in 2015, where he's saying where he's identifying widening the deepening inequality is not driven by immutable economic laws, but by laws that we have written ourselves. And that means it is the manipulation and modification happening in the state, in the structure of capitalism, which is resulting where we are reaching today, probably also indicated by Thomas Piketty in his book and Oxfam reports. Oxfam report is being mentioned in my paper, and so I'm taking note of these two work. Now I'm going to connect this with education, though we have evidences from the classical economist. My identification is that ties between educational level and monetary rewards and welfare considered educated individuals as human capital. The moment we are terming them human capital, we are increasing the competition behavior in the system. And so we need to be really aware of what is more important, economic efficiency or the social consciousness for the state as well. And that's where the conceptualization of this work is coming from. So my idea is not new. We have been debating this, but I think we are trying to find out a direction in which the discussion on this idea is more clear and disseminated. Noam Chokshi has worked on higher education, and he has been also talking about the structures of economy and state, and he's commenting about the commoditization of higher education taking place. Rather, he is using a very smart word that is called Walmartization. So Walmartization is a great idea for democratizing higher education, but it's a very clear idea for creating wealth. And so higher education is connected always with economic efficiency, however, somehow losing the social value in the system. So these things are faced by some of the developed nations which have already achieved a level of economic efficiency in their system. So this becomes the premise to go ahead on the idea of social entrepreneurship. My assumption is that we need to coin a new term which can gel well with the capitalism system, creating a separate awareness on social value and asking to surrender their wealth and comfort is going to be a difficult task. And so let's try to create a marriage between the existing system on economy and existing system of higher education, creating consciousness in both the systems. So that becomes the background of the context of the research that we are following. I'm following with my colleague Abha Rishi. The examples which started in 1970s, and I'm mentioning example by choice because the theory development starts with example, reaches to evidence, and then it becomes theory. So we are in a stage where we can actually relate it to theoretical process, but 30, 40 years back, these were only examples, and very recently these were evidences. So examples come from 1970s where we started founding some of the organization in India and South Asia. In 1983, Grameen Bank came in, which became a great model for others to think in the similar direction. So there are practices, there is schools of thought coming in. Now, what is social enterprise or social entrepreneurship? And I think we still have not closed the definition the way probably we understand what could be demand and supply. So we need a clear-cut definition of social entrepreneurship, and that's very contextual. Commoditization has a universal law, but context always change. And so universal definition of social enterprise might be difficult, but we can still build a framework and an outline. So social enterprise, philanthropy, non-government organizations, not-for-profit, charities, social purpose organizations are third sector. So these are some of the terms that we have used in past as replacement of social enterprise or entrepreneurs. But in 1980s, these started combining and converging into two schools of thought. School of thought of practice, which is social innovation school, and social enterprise school. We will talk about these things in the ecosystem process, but I would like to mention also the Victorian liberalists who were trying to create consciousness in the whole capitalist model. They also ignited the process of debate, and they invited people to come forward and probably do better, improve, reform, and civilize the world away from only capital, right? So this is how things started developing, especially from 1980s and 1990s. So let me share with you one or two definitions like Thompson and Gardner, Branson and Gardner. These definitions have clear-cut assumptions, and so these definitions don't explore everything on practice and literature both. But government of UK came in a very clear-cut definition, which became a charter later on. Social enterprises are businesses that exist primarily for a social or environmental purpose, but the purpose is not a model, right? It is a motivation only. They use business to tackle social problems, improve people's life chances, and protect the environment. They create shared wealth and give people a stake in the economy. Fantastic. So these are some of the fantastic ideas which government of UK presented, and we have a background for that. You will remember that in 1998-99, Bill Clinton and Tony Blair were debating for market socialism, and that means the free market capitalist approach must have a social consciousness, and so they could not go completely in a different direction, but agreed to take forward market socialism. So which became the base to take the agenda forward on Social Values Act that we have in UK. From our perspective, we were thinking and we started thinking afresh, and we did a focus group on which we were getting certain ideas from the experts we invited in. So, our definition presented was like this. We focused more on social enterprise, and those activities performed were known as entrepreneurs. So it was the connect that we developed, and so we primarily define what is a social enterprise. So it is organizations delivering first needs of society. Now society will change, and so we are calling it first needs, with social mission through not-for-profit or commercial ventures at affordable price to community and in sustainable model to organizations. So we want to take care of a good balance between the social purpose and sustainability of the organization. And we need to exclude. So what are the exclusion we are going ahead with? With centrality of no above average profit for stakeholders and exclusion of government agencies. I want to be very clear here that we don't want to create a system of activist investors who became responsible for the financial crisis at many places in the world. And so social enterprises must be free from those kind of activists in the system. People working for these kind of organizations, people leading these kind of organizations are going to be known as social entrepreneurs. So this is a system that we thought might be one of the ideas to discuss with. Following the ecosystem approach, I'm not able to present my slides here, but I'm following the slides to discuss with you. So ecosystem approach is a holistic system that we thought would be a good idea to deal with this kind of situation, because we don't want to establish an equation. We only want to establish a relationship which system automatically takes forward. And we are trying to establish a relationship and see a relationship actually between social enterprise and university ecosystem. So here are the stakeholders in the ecosystem for social enterprise, and of course it covers everyone possible in the cloud, which is able to create a significant impact in the overall movement. And this is the ecosystem for the higher education system that we are in, right? How do they create a relationship is the issue that we are proceeding with. So social enterprise and higher education space as first law must be motivated by government, like any economic system which was motivated by government. And so even if capitalist, it was government which created policies and created boundaries of operations. The government must become the first stakeholders, especially when we have public university system which is meant for the real social welfare as far as higher education is concerned and research. So we are still working on how to create a balance between these two ecosystems and identify the factors which will excite and motivate social consciousness in the higher education system itself, and how this higher education system can contribute to social enterprises in long run. So they become very close partner to produce socially conscious graduates, researchers, and knowledge. We are still looking for concluding remarks, but I'm only hoping that we are going to get some very positive and some good results. And I will conclude by saying Peter Drucker's quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So this might be an idea and a strategy, but creating a good culture is rather important. And so integration has to deal at art level, every level, and it should not come from only top. Democratization is important here. Thank you very much again. I would be really happy to receive feedback, and I'm going to write some of you to gather feedback from you. Thank you very much. Bye.